Good afternoon, Magyarország. Good afternoon, Budapest. Hi, everybody. Szeretettel köszöntöm az otthon ülőket, kedves vendégeinket. And if you don't mind, I'm changing English because we have our panelists here in the London Chamber of Commerce Business Lounge. And I really do hope that in the morning, at the morning panel about grants and funds, how the UK government can help SMEs and companies, UK market entry. This panel in the afternoon will be as successful and as informative as it was in the morning. I'm also encouraging you, please, to stay after the panel with us, because all of our panelists and our UK companies are looking forward to talking to you. To having networking with you, obviously, and please stay online as long as you can, and we are happy to have networking with you. So then in the afternoon, this panel will be about, in the spirit of technology, innovation and investment, will be about what makes Central Europe-based business attractive to UK companies across multiple sectors, from IT to sustainability, renewable energy, and other high-tech industries. Wow, it's quite big stuff. The moderator of the panel is Mark Jenkinson, who is the Crystal Associate Director. And Mark is a senior manager with extensive international business experience across industry and infrastructure, and a passion for helping cities to be smarter, more sustainable, better places to live. So Mark, I would like to give the stage to you, and please lead the panel and introduce your panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susanna. Hopefully you can all hear me and say you. And it's a shame that we can't be with you in Budapest. But as you can notice from the background, that some of us are together here in the same place here in London. And also we're joined by Jai and Peter, who are in other parts of London, and Ross, who's in Ostrava. So a great panel. And it's an honor to follow the ambassador. And it's also an honor to moderate such a stellar panel. Now, we only have 45 minutes to discuss this broad area which is Susanna has set us, and then we have 15 minutes of questions. So please start to send your questions in. But without further ado, I'd like to start and let the panel introduce themselves. And also, clearly COVID has been a difficult time for many of us. But can each of the panelists also tell us one positive outcome that they've seen during this last time? So let's start with Tamas, and I'm pointing just over there to my right. So Tamas, please start first.
So much, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here with you, especially in the business lobby of the London Chamber of Commerce. My name is Tamas, and I'm working for the Embassy of Hungary in London. I'm an investment and trade commissioner. According to my job, my task is to help Hungarian and UK business to enhance and help maybe UK investors to find some solutions, to find some possibilities in the Hungarian market, and Hungarian exporters to appear in the UK market as well. As Mr. Ambassador said, nowadays information is one of the key elements, and I'm pretty sure today we'll hear a lot of useful information from my fellow panelists, and I will do my best to present as many information as I can for all of you.
And the positive out of COVID?
Oh, yeah, the positive thing. First one, it's positive for me that I can sit here with you. Otherwise, if it be in Budapest, I would have the possibility to stay there with you. So I'm happy to see you in person, some of you at least. And the second one is it's quite obvious, the digitalization. We can see many examples that companies were already digitalized before the crisis, they are more resilient. And all those who didn't make any steps forward to digitalize their systems, they are struggling now, and they have very difficult times. According to some statistics in Hungary, during the first wave of the COVID, 3 times more websites and web shops were established than before, and the visitors of the websites was increased by 30%, which is quite something. And as the experts say, they are expecting a bigger boom during the second wave, because here comes the Black Friday promotions and Christmas time as well. So I would say digitalization is a good thing. And as I'm posted to the Embassy of Hungary, let me focus on Hungary. And I would say Hungary did pretty well in this field, as according to Deloitte, the Hungarian bank sector improved jumped forward 1.5 years in the improvements and the development of the digitalization of the bank sector, which is quite good.
All right, thanks, Tamas, and over to you, Jeff.
I think you just need to unmute yourself, Gregor.
Yeah, Jeff, I think you're on mute.
Jeff, go.
Good afternoon, everybody, and good afternoon, Hungary. We are deeply sorry we can't be with you in person for this extraordinary event in a very extraordinary period. As I said, my name is Jeff Hudson-Sill. I'm a 30-year international business executive working for continents of the world across executive companies around the world. I'm also a non-executive director, and I have been for the last 12 years, serving growth phase companies across such areas as cybersecurity, technology and regulation, and also compliance. For the sake of Susanna on the call, I'm also an author of my latest book, which is Purposeful Discussions. I run a company called IBEM at this moment in time, and I have done for several times. And I guess in the last 12 years, we've serviced and supported in excess of 300 companies looking to either grow, develop, and move to the international market. So, Mark, you said, I believe it's the positive. Is that correct? The positive in this era. I think it's very interesting to hear Tamas's response from a Hungarian perspective, but I think from a global perspective, there's two things we need to remember. Number one is Sir Isaac Newton created his best work in an isolation lockdown period in 1666. I think we always talk about the pain barriers and of what people have suffered through this tragic event and through severity. But I must add that there's also some incredible innovations and incredible opportunities that have come through this period through sheer business resilience, through sheer tenacity, sheer ability to, in certain ways, Darwinism, the ability to adapt, the ability to apply oneself to a new way of operating through this period. And I think that we've seen extraordinary lengths that entrepreneurs and business people have made in order to not just survive, but also to thrive in the period. Furthermore, I think I'd like to finish on this question with really what the ambassador said, and he talks about chapters of risk, both Brexit and pandemic, but he also talks about the services and the products which have created opportunities. And I think we need to capitalize more on the positive mindset of what it will take our businesses to succeed. And in a lot of the things that I'm working with at the moment, and a lot of things that I'm interviewed on at the moment, leadership comes to the forefront. You've got to have a capable leadership. A leadership in this era is a different mindset to what we've had in the last 10 years. So I think leadership, innovation, ability to drive performance, and I see people as a big part of that process. Thank you, Mark.
Jeff, this morning we had the Great Fire of London. Now we've had Sir Isaac Newton and Darwin. So here we are. Over to North London and Petar Savic.
Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Susanna, for inviting me. So my name is Peter Savage, and I'm a founding partner of Supreme Factory, and this is a London-based accelerator, and we have a VC fund that is backing early-stage tech businesses from emerging Europe. When I say emerging Europe, I mean Central Europe, East Europe, and all of these countries that we are talking about today. We just call it differently because we believe it's emerging and full with talent. I'm also a co-director of Startup Grind, and Startup Grind in London. And Startup Grind is the largest community of entrepreneurs, and we are in 650 cities, in around 200 countries. We have over 3 million registered entrepreneurs. We've been going on for 10 years, and the main values are to make friends, not contacts, and then so forth. And I also spend a lot of time mentoring. So I mentor around 30 startup hubs, including some in Hungary, like Startup Campus and C Labs. I believe this morning we had some of those members there as well. And it's really important for me to help these founders and mentor them to create a huge impact and use technology and science to tackle most impactful industries or health. So I grew up in Balkans, very close to Hungary, and I relocated to London to kind of live my life to the fullest and pursue my career. So I worked at UCL Advances, at the time the biggest entrepreneurial department, and I also advised the Department of International Trade in the UK on the Western Balkans, and then largely that part of Europe. And a few years ago, I forged a bridge in order to kind of helping that internationalize those exceptional talents, but also support very impactful businesses that thrive. And in regards to kind of positive outcomes of pandemic, I believe that we can look at the pandemic at slightly different point of view, and this is more about the opportunity rather than the catastrophe. And when I say opportunity, it means that we are now creating new industries, and there are benefits for those who can adapt quickly. As some of you mentioned already, it's very kind of tricky time, but for those who have the ability to adapt and to kind of do a digital transformation, they could really benefit. And what I think the biggest outcome is the time, and that's the kind of biggest commodity of this day and age. Now we have more time to look at ourselves and look at some of the things we haven't looked. I mean, we don't commute much. We don't spend too much time on meetings somewhere outside. So I think that's quite a good outcome. And for us at Startup Grind, we had to adapt, obviously, because we used to organize around 500 events a month, physical events. And now we are somewhere around 250, 300 virtual events a month. And it took us a few months to really adapt, and still we're trying to tackle on. So I think that ability to adapt is absolutely essential for companies to thrive and survive as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Petar. Over to you, Jay.
Hi, thanks, Mark, and thanks, Susanna and Judith, for inviting me over. Good afternoon, everyone. And if I can say hello, Esjonaput, if I pronounced it right in Hungarian here. So yeah, my name is Jay Shekhar. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Vitsi. We are a data and AI company, 25 years into corporate work atmosphere, been in part of the board of a couple of organizations. That's the little background about me. Yes, we are also looking at how to democratize AI, and I think AI has been always assumed in a very different way that probably it takes away jobs and stuff like that. But I think AI comes in a very different perspective. And I think it's so important during the COVID times that actually people talking about digitalization and stuff like that. And I think AI really has helped out in a lot of ways around this whole COVID scenario. So yeah, that's what we try to do within our organization. We've kind of ease out, the pain points of what people go through today. So that's something there. And from a COVID standpoint of view, I think I agree with most of the panelists here that adaptability is clearly been the biggest learning, I would say. But along with that, I think it's all about agility It's about innovation, how quickly we are able to transform ourselves, have a plan B in place. I think that's an important thing that I've really learned, that, you know, every organization, every individual probably needs to have a plan B. And that's been the biggest learning, you know, around the COVID bit. So that's what it is. And thanks once again. I'm absolutely, it's a pleasure to be part of the panel here. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Jai. And last but not least, over to emerging Europe, Ross, with his Harley Davidson in the background.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. So, and thanks, Susie and Judith, for inviting me to be here. So, my name is Ross Chambers, and I am the manager for Slovakia, Czech Republic, and Hungary for Harley Davidson. So, as you can see, we like to wear our colors, and very proud of what we do. So, and I'm also here to introduce you guys to the motorcyclists right behind me. And that's really the reason why I'm on a panel like this, which you might not expect to see Harley Davidson in innovation discussion. So, but behind me is the first electric motorcycle produced by one of the major motorcycle industry. So it's a fantastic step forward, and it really shows Harley Davidson's dedication to being progressive and innovative in this in our own field. So it's a very exciting time for us, and we're really glad to be here. So to answer the question about COVID, so what positive, some days it feels it's difficult to find a positive in this. It's a very challenging time business-wise. But I can say I've been working home since March, and I can tell you the coffee is a lot better. So but beyond that, so I think a lot of what my colleagues have said, this is really very true, the adaptability. We have certainly had a lot of expansion in technology, how we're using technology. Where, you know, I don't know if you guys remember, but back in April, we had this moment when everything froze. It felt like time stood still. And it was a great time of reflection for a lot of us who are busy career guys and working the midnight oil every night to get a little bit of our life work balance back. And I think that this is probably the best positive that's come from it, is because companies like ours, Harley Davidson, I think a lot of your companies have been able to focus and reevaluate how can we utilize technology in the best way to suit our employees and our employees' needs, to deal with a very difficult situation, and then also commercially, how can we be successful under that? So I think honestly, it's been very positive. Thanks,
Rod. Well, sticking with you, let's kind of move on to the next kind of area, which is effectively the exam question set by Susanna. Is, you know, what makes Central Europe and the UK attractive places? So I guess for you, you're now a Czech citizen. So why is the emerging Europe, why is that attractive for you and Harley? Yeah. So, so I came from the United States about 13 years ago, and came straight to the Czech Republic. So I called it the Wild East when I got here. And I can tell you that it's just been a really amazing experience to see the development that's going. So in Harley Davidson, the Central Eastern Europe belongs to the set of countries we call strategic growth markets. And I think that says a lot, because this is where we have a lot of opportunity, a lot of economic growth, a lot of new markets opening up. So for us in the motorcycle industry, as people get more economically fluent, it really opens up a lot of opportunities. So it's kind of interesting, the tie between CE and the UK actually for Harley Davidson, because the two oldest dealerships in Europe were in Prague in the Czech Republic, and also the Wars dealership in London. So so that connection goes way back, all the way to the 1920s. And so it's really a, I think great region to work in. I'm very proud to be here. So I think I've got to ask Tamas the same question. So why should the UK be attractive for Hungarian companies?
I would focus on why Hungary is an attractive market for the investors, just like Harley Davidson. Okay, that's a question where I could spend 1.5 to 2 hours and speak continuously, but I'll try to make it brief. First of all, in Hungary and in Central Europe, the economic and political situation is quite stable for a long time. As usually we say nowadays, the V4, like Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Poland, are the economic engine of the EU in the recent times, because for example, in Hungary, the GDP growth was nearly 5% a year, which is a lot higher than the average EU GDP growth, which was 1.5% only. We heard so many opinions about innovation and adaptivity. And here I should tell a short story that in 2014, our Ministry of Foreign Affairs was renamed to Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, which shows that the government is very I don't get the word now, sorry. So we put a lot of effort on growing the economy. And there are 3 background institutes behind the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. This is the Hungarian Export Promotion Agency, the Hungarian Investment Promotion Agency, and the Exim Bank. And all these 3 are the aim for all these 3 institutes is to enhance the trade connections, the trade relations between foreign countries and Hungary. And as all of these are under one umbrella, it makes the decision making very, very quick, very rapid, and very flexible. So whenever investors come to us, we can provide very custom-made solutions to them. So I think this fits to adaptivity and innovation as well.
So much. Maybe over to Petar and then to Jai, but I guess the London is a quite competitive market. So, what are the opportunities here for Hungarian and Central European businesses, and is it really a very competitive place for people to be, and how can they access the opportunity here? So start with Petar and then to Jai.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I mean, London is very competitive, but if we look at the post-Brexit period, we still are lacking talent, and I think what emerging Europe provides the most is that exceptional talent, especially in the tech. And when you look at the startups and a bit scale-ups, which are later stage businesses, we can see that there are now many of them coming from this part of Europe, and these are unicorns. We recently saw some unicorns coming out of Hungary as well, and these are companies that have significant revenue, or their valued are more than $1 billion. So these type of businesses are very welcome to the UK because there are some phenomenal tax reliefs that we heard this morning on the panel. There's some great investment incentives like SES, VCTs, and obviously R&D credits that could have return on the research and development that one startup have invested in. So we all know that London has been a venture capital of VCs and investment in Europe. And if you look at this statistically, London has I believe still, if you combine whole of Europe, London is still largest in the investment deals. So that gives a great opportunity for these European companies to come and land to the UK market and then raise investments and have actually quite good market that will use that product and service. And we also see more advances in sustainable technologies, renewable energy. When I see this new Harley Davidson, it's just it's very close to my heart. But we have to look beyond the ESG, which is a kind of a mission to save our planet, and because we're facing terrible climate change. So I see industries that are affected by the technology and science, or like health, climate, and the other impactful sustainable goals. And these companies from Europe mostly deep tech companies that use machine learning, AI, IoT, sensors, robotics, immersive technologies. These are fantastic match to the UK because these industries are very kind of strong here. And we also see family offices and pension funds even, putting their money in these type of alternative investments and more deep tech orientated businesses that have applied science to it. And finally, if we look at the employees and tech talents, exceptional talents who are now digital nomads, basically, they always want to work in these companies that have the sustainable purpose in its core. So this is something else because opportunities everywhere. And in the UK, especially for these startups, there are many opportunities. There is a fact from Nesta, I think, there are more than 600 accelerators in the UK, which is startup programs and hubs for these companies that would come from emerging Europe, which is absolutely astonishing number. So, and I believe there is a place for each business to grow here. So yeah, that's all for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to add to what Peter said, I think he took away quite a few of my points already. But I think I'm a classic example. I mean, I came from India 4 years back, and I've set up my own company here. I think it's been an amazing ride because I'll tell you, there's no dearth of the kind of people that you get. I mean, there's amazing amount of diversity that you get here in terms of the talent pool. London has definitely been a biggest hub for startups. I mean, they're, I think, ranked around 4th best country in the world to come in from a startup perspective. The other good stuff is that I think the government does a lot. I mean, just to add on to what Peter said, that we ourselves have taken SEI as one of the schemes for our own company, where the taxpayers, any individual who's investing in startups can get tax rebates, which is an amazing. I think I have not seen anywhere in other parts of the world where such rebates have been given by the government directly, and we've been benefited. So we ourselves have technology professionals who have invested in our company. Again, as Peter talked about the startup ecosystem, about the accelerators, we ourselves are part of the Wyra, which is the Telefonica. We are invested by Telefonica in our company, and we are part of the Wyra network. So there are multiple such accelerator programs which really give a lot of advantages for people to come in. And each of these accelerators have their own theme. As somebody is working on renewable energy, somebody's, so there is a fitment for any kind of an organization to come in here and fit into any of these accelerator programs. So the opportunity is immense, I would say, in UK. So that's something that, there's an opportunity. The other one is that I think I can talk about is the visa, right? So there is this whole Tech Nation global talent visa that they offer. Now you could be anybody coming into this country. If you're in technology space and you're able to prove that you're good, you could get a fast track visa here, and you could run the organization as a local citizen. So I mean, not many countries have really got that kind of a opportunity that they offer to other, and especially after Brexit, I think UK is definitely looking for talent. They want people coming from other parts of the world to come and establish here. Yes, tech space is clearly the one. Yes, renewable energy is again one of the big ones that they're looking. Health tech is again something which is really being pumped in with a lot of money. Multiple VCs, multiple opportunities from an investment stand. Even the government has their own LEAP program where they invest and they give up to 5 million, from anywhere between 500,000 to 5 million, where it's given at a very, very low rate of interest. So I think definitely they've created the kind of atmosphere, and no doubts that why UK has been one of the best destinations for people to come and get the startups going here. I think given all these factors, UK clearly seems to be a great hub to start your businesses. Yeah.
Thank you all. So over to Jeff. So you referred to the ambassador's point about risk and opportunities. So what do you see as the key opportunities, and what do businesses need to do to actually tap into this? Is it about leadership, or is it more than that?
It's so much more. I trust everyone can hear me now. It's so much more, and you're right. The ambassador did talk about the chapters of risk, and to be fair, Tamas also talked about geopolitical stability, which is a big part of cross-border international trade. I think first and foremost, let's get something straight here. London is probably the most connected city in the world, not just in Europe. Number one. Number two is we need to make it very clear that the pavements of the city are not paved in gold for people who don't have, viable businesses and commercial ready businesses and businesses that actually fit within an investment criteria, whether that's going to be ultra high net, whether that's going to be family offices, private PE groups, VC groups, institutional money, or whether it's going to be senior debt. The facts are, you've still got to be prepared, number one. Number two is many companies have failed coming to the UK and trying to set up in their own right because they haven't bothered to take the right legal advice. They haven't had the correct frameworks. They haven't had the correct business advisors to actually steer them, with particularly with things like regulatory. And by the way, this is probably one of the biggest conversations. We had a small conversation earlier about unicorns, but how many companies are you seeing now with overinflated valuations that just don't get it? Look, everyone, things have changed, and whether we like it or not, what was happening here a year ago has changed dramatically. We are living in a I hate using the term the new normal, but the new normal is something which everyone's going to have to get used to, and this is only phase one of it. There's going to be many phases. So the idea that you can just walk in with a deck and obtain several £1 million and that will take care of the rest is you've got to be very much mistaken. The risk that we talk about is very much based around, in investment terms, we use the term, capital raise diagnostic tool, which is effectively a 34-point diagnostic around investment preparation and ability and viability and strength to be able to lead and grow and develop and actually give shareholders a return. Yeah, I did say shareholders a return. The facts are lots of businesses are just talking about exit with no profitability, no pathway to profitability, and no ability to grow in terms of assets. So I think we've got that to consider. I think the other consideration from an opportunity point of view, because I think that was part of the question, what key opportunities you see? I do see an immense opportunity between Hungary and the UK to actually self-promote and engage better collaboration, better strategic partnerships, better possibilities for things such as joint venturing as well, and where technologies, companies, and people can actually come together to develop better and more meaningful opportunities that don't just look at the UK and Hungary, but they look at a much more broader picture from a global perspective and having global and international reach. So I think that this is fundamentally where I see a bigger opportunity. I would also like to say I'd like to see better collaboration from government, both on the UK and the Hungarian side, to provide better incentives for companies in Hungary and better companies in the UK to be able to come together, because I think that's where the real opportunity is. It mitigates a certain amount of risk. There is a low entry investment level to actually bring these pieces together, but it's a win-win for everyone. So I think, Mark, that's probably I can go on, as Tamas said, for many hours on this subject, but I think that's a few points from me on the subject.
Thanks, Jeff. I think there was a challenge there for Tamas. So what is the government doing to help?
We are talking about the opportunities, I guess.
Yep.
Still, as I mentioned, we have some agencies under one umbrella, and they all offer very good incentives and schemes in order to help companies. And there was a slogan before, which was "Made in Hungary." That was one of the aims. Recently, they invented Hungary, which is quite a nice sentence and shows clearly that R&D actually became focus of the developments. And in my opinion, the greatest opportunity is AI, referring to Jay. The COVID-19 showed us how vulnerable the world economy, how vulnerable are the companies on the market. So what they need to have is more security and predictability. And to gain these, they have to have data. But creating such an enormous amount of data, they need to use the AI more and more and big data solutions. So I would say opportunity AI and getting back to the startup sector, as during the morning panel you've already met Startup Campus, which is a Hungarian incubator, and they are actually open to any kind of cooperation, partners and venture capitals with startups. And this is such a nice example how to be flexible, how to be open, and how to help all the participants of the market to prosper and work together. And I think governments have a great role here to have a strong center point and provide the possibility for the market participants to work together. And at the end of the day, we talk about communication between the government and the businesses, and communication between business meetings are super important, because this is the only way to figure out the next step. And let me say, this is where we come in, the investment and trade commissioner network around the world. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Tosh. Jeff also mentioned the words investment criteria and regulation. So, Ross, you're working across a number of jurisdictions. So, how do you overcome the various different regulations? And what is the investment criteria for Harley?
Oh, yeah, that's a very good question. So, of course, Europe always presents kind of an interesting challenge for us in general, as far as the distribution network. What I can see, we have a lot of challenges, for example, with the changes in regulations and the fact that they're adapted on a case-by-case basis for each country. So just, for example, right now I'm sitting on the commission managing the change from Euro 4 to Euro 5 for the automobile industry. And you can imagine that COVID has really made that a difficult process because of inventories and inventory control and this kind of thing. So it is. I agree that it is really a challenge. What I would like to maybe see, so to be a little bit more optimistic, is that what I'd like to see is a little bit more homogeny among the regions, at least. So from a Central European perspective, we see vast differences between Hungarian government, for example, and the Slovakian government and the Czech government. So you've got three countries, relatively small as far as population goes, and then you get but really three challenging, completely different challenging situations. So I'm very glad, and it's been an interesting interest of mine about the development of the European Union, and I'd like to see maybe more of that kind of homogeneity that's brought in by overarching governing to be continued. So I can maybe get not quite so sympathetic ears from the people in the UK on that. So, but so maybe I should be careful. But and then just talking in a general sense, because I'd like to add to that conversation about what do we want to see. Really, there's just a tremendous amount of development going on. And there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in products, but how much time is spent actually supporting products that enrich people's lives or sustainable. We talk about, environmentally productive or, helpful products and this kind of thing. We tend to box everything, and maybe I'm going to even go against myself, because we have this box that we see cars and motorcycles, for example, getting government support, like in Hungary, for example. So there's, we see that happening, but I'd like to see it more from a product development side, where we're actually setting up companies or helping companies to develop products that will improve our future. And I think that's really the biggest opportunity that we got.
Right. Well, I think we're nearing the end of this particular slot, so I'll ask you the final question, but maybe Peter and Jai, you might want to also touch on the previous question about regulation. But hopefully, we'll get a chance to meet next year, face to face, and we'll get to join the party and have a few drinks with the colleagues sitting in Budapest. So, what one thing would you like to happen between now and then to actually improve relationships and business between the UK and Central Europe? So start with Peter and then go to Jai, and then we'll go to the rest of the panel.
Well, thank you, Rob. So what things? There could be many things. Jeff, I believe, mentioned some of those, and these are mostly in line with being able to join ventures. Well, earlier this year in February, we had like talks with both British Business Bank and European Investment Fund, and they all changed their mandate because of Brexit. And I think that's a bit kind of strange if you look at the venture capital land and private equity. And it's a bit harder now to work cross borders in different jurisdictions. But essentially, if we work with the corporates and corporate innovation programs such as Harley Davidson, they work a lot on particular industries that are impactful. And I think if we strongly connect around those most impactful industries, such as health and other like climate and environmental things, then we could apply this technology by working with both the whole ecosystem of not only corporates and startups, but also academia and other kind of stakeholders, because I believe that cross-pollination of different personas, different industries and technology and size can bring true breakthrough innovation for us. So we see many different things, especially now. A few days ago, we saw two biggest crowdfunding equity platforms, Seedrs and Crowdcube, join forces, and they merged in order to bring the bigger impact for earlier stage companies to raise funds, whether they're UK companies based in Europe. But yeah, that would be, I'm just mindful of time, so that would be all for me. Thank you.
Yeah, and to just add on to what Peter is saying, I think all the more after Brexit, I think and I think Thomas should agree with me that I think the DIT, both sides of the countries will have to come together very closely. There could be more trade delegations that needs to happen, and this needs to be driven by the corporate side of the world. I mean, there could be political questions around how much we should be doing with a specific country or not. But I think in both countries, I think the DIT will have to come together and work on it. I think London and Partners are guys who have been working on some of the markets very well. In fact, I know between UK, US, there's a lot of partnership. There are a lot of UK businessmen taken to US and US people coming down to I think very similarly, something will have to start happening. And probably, I don't know if DIT or somebody could talk about that with London and Partners, because and we've seen that London and Partners have also been, I've been associated with them. I've been working with the Deputy Mayor of London here, and there's a lot of activity around between India and UK that's already happening. I think these are a set of things that really needs to be done between both these countries or Central European countries with the UK, and all the more importantly after the Brexit. And I think that's an opportunity, I would say. And the other aspect is the accelerated programs. I think why UK has been a phenomenal success is because there's a lot of investment, there's a lot of opportunity that people come in, and I think that's something that we will have to expose to both parts. For example, Telefonica, there's a lot from in Europe as well as in South America. I mean, starting from Brazil and so many other countries. Can some of the corporates create those kind of accelerator programs in some of these countries in Central Europe and bring that momentum that they need, right? So the multiple things can be done, but yes, I mean, there has to be somebody driving it. There has to be that intention to work on, but yeah, I can see a lot of opportunity from that perspective.
I'm conscious that Susanna's sitting very close to me, and we're just over time. So, do we have any questions, Susanna, or do we give?
Okay. Thank you very much. Very, very broad discussion it has been, but I have one more question, because Mark, nobody has asked you anything, and my question to you, Mark, who is the moderator of our panel, is that as an expert of sustainability, environment protection, and smart cities, what kind of message do you have to the Hungarian tech and innovation companies, you as an expert of this field for 20 years?
Thank you, Susanna. Now, today there was an announcement. The UK government is going to invest £160 million in the wind industry. So there's a big focus here that the UK was the first country in the world to set in law carbon neutrality by 2050, and this announcement, if it does go ahead, I think is a sure sign that the UK will be pushing for that. So I think certainly AI clearly is obviously a huge market, but certainly things around low carbon tech is a huge market, certainly for in the UK. So if there are any Hungarian or Central European emerging economy businesses out there who have great solutions around low carbon tech, I think those are definitely things that you could actually push here in the UK. And just one other thing, there was a discussion about the investment. There was and I think it was a comment this morning that was made about the investment in what are the kind of the key markets that are going on. So there's current markets, and then there's future. And someone talked about the future of work, and there's a investment fund has just raised $400 million to focus on AI in the future of work. So again, I think there's probably also a lot of money on how do we actually use data, use technology to actually overcome some of the issues we're going to face over the next year or so through the pandemic. So I think there's lots of opportunity, and I'll just hopefully, to ask a question. I'd like to. I haven't been to Budapest since 1996. I think about the same time as Jeff. So we definitely need to sort something out that we can actually make sure that we can all be together next year and enjoy the drink the night before with the rest of the colleagues over in the Vision Hotel.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, we were supposing to fly to Budapest and to spend time with you, dear guests, there in Vision, Hotel Vision, with an amazing host, Judy Molnár. But unfortunately, we are not allowed to go there. And just one more idea before closing the session. If you have any more questions or any questions, please, I'm encouraging you to put it. This is a question and answer in the chat box. Please do it. And one more thing, that we are in the middle of Brexit. We are in the middle of COVID. And although this circumstance, we are encouraging you from here in London to carry on, be strategic, do leadership, follow your strategy, follow your aim, and we're more than happy to help you. And please do networking. And about in a couple of minutes, you will be able to join the networking session. So we are here in London, and we are online. We are staying online the next 1 hour while you will make a decision, enjoying the beautiful Navona Fashion Sustainable Fashion Show, which will be amazing. And also some of you who are ready, who are happy to talk to one of our panelists or our keynote speakers, please do not hesitate to make connections. And I'm saying bye-bye now. I would like to say thank you so much to Mark, Ross, Peta, Thomas, Jeff, and Jay, who have given a lot of information to us, enormous knowledge. And I'm asking you please to stay with us, because at 3 o'clock here in Hungary at 4 o'clock, we'll come back with the first online hybrid book launching, where Jeff will tell you his path, his history, his mission, how he has become an author of his 5th book. So we are looking forward to coming back to you, and enjoy this beautiful fashion show, enjoy food, enjoy Hungarian wine, enjoy atmosphere. And it's a promise we are not going to board here at all. Thank you, thank you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you.